here with Dennis Flemming, who's the project director for the Niger Delta Partnership Initiative, which is an initiative funded by the Chevron Corporation to focus on the Delta region of Nigeria. Dennis, you've been in the development business a long time, and you've seen challenges in development all over the world in Papua New Guinea, Angola, Nigeria. There's obviously been an evolution in thinking about how companies can and should contribute to development challenges. Could you talk a little bit about how Chevron has evolved in its thinking over the years towards development issues?
I think in the earlier days, in say the 70s and 80s, the concept of working with communities, providing assistance to communities was, in its very beginnings. The companies often used to think that if they get a development license, if they get approval by the government to produce in a certain area, that the concept of assisting impoverished communities or communities with a lack of infrastructure or development around these remote rural areas that we tend to operate, that was kind of the sole responsibility of the government, and that company tax payments were kind of covering that contribution towards the government's responsibility to deliver social services to those communities. As companies gradually found that wasn't happening, that there wasn't enough government support, they were kind of feeling the frustration more of communities who were seeing this, kind of new standard of living, this high-tech operation in the midst of sometimes very underdeveloped communities. That was leading to frustration. And so the first points companies were, accepting the idea that they needed to do more to give something back to the communities, to address some of the social and economic problems of the communities in their midst. But they didn't really know how to go about doing it. And a lot of the initial thoughts were just, as long as you do anything, it's going to be good. If it's got a social purpose or an economic benefit of some type, that its good intentions are enough, so to speak. And they kind of went through that learning curve that many donor agencies had gone through long ago, where they started to realize that it's just not enough to do anything. You can throw a lot of money at social issues and problems and not get anywhere with it. So Chevron, like other companies, started to recognize that it's not as easy as it sounds or as they thought, and started to look more carefully at how to go about doing that, how to make it strategic, how to make it sustainable, and that thinking led to start looking at how others are doing things. I think the latest evolution, certainly for Chevron as a company, as we started our latest partnership initiative, was to recognize that we're learning a lot from our partners, but we can't just do whatever our partners think should be done. We can learn a lot from them, but we have to learn what we want and what we need to do, and what suits a strong linkage between our business objectives and the social objectives that we're trying to achieve. And getting that kind of intersection of business interests and social interests, I think, has helped us to create a lot more win-win situations for communities and the company and even our other partners.
That leads me to my second question, which is about how NDPI was set up and what the objectives are of NDPI. Tell us a little bit about that. We've gotten the context from your previous answer. Tell us a little bit about NDPI and what you're hoping to achieve with it.
Well, with the Niger Delta Partnership Initiative, we recognize that the social investments that Chevron has in Nigeria now, all of our operations are focused in the Niger Delta region of the country. And it's a challenging place. There's a lot of social issues that relate to long history of oil production in a very impoverished area, a country that has depended very heavily on the revenues that are produced from the region to run the whole country. But yet a region that feels like it's been neglected at the expense of directing all of those revenues to the rest of the country. But Chevron recognized that there's a lot of things happening in the broader Niger Delta region which impacts what we do with those fence line communities, that that means that sizable investment in community development for those communities can be undermined by broader regional conflict, broader regional development issues and challenges which continuously have an impact on the effectiveness of what those communities are trying to do for themselves. And said, let's create a regional initiative. Let's work with other partners and try to get a stronger sense of shared responsibility and shared commitment to the development of the region. So that was kind of the impetus behind creating the NDPI Foundation. We've recognized that we need to focus on specific areas of development. So we have 4 programs within the NDPI Foundation that we're working on. One is our economic development program, which is our highest priority, and we expect to take up about half of our total project funding. We have a capacity building program, which is looking at building the capacity of civil society organizations in the area and local government institutions. We have a peace building program, which is focused on promoting a conflict resolution and a peace amongst the various stakeholder groups in the region. And then an analysis and advocacy program, which is supporting those other 3 programs. It's a little bit more cross-cutting in nature and making sure that we're constantly doing the research to identify what are the most specific and highest priority projects and needs that we need to be addressing.
This is great. Dennis, thank you so much for taking time to be with us.
Thank you.